Some battles happen in front of crowds, but the battles that shape destiny happen in secret. One young man made a choice that changed everything. Some battles happen in front of roaring crowds under the bright lights of a stadium where every move is seen, judged, and recorded for history. The world celebrates these public victories, moments of triumph everyone can witness and applaud. But the battles that truly shape destiny often unfold in silence, in quiet, shadowed corners of an ordinary day. They are not fought with swords or shields, but with the whispered resolve of a determined heart. In these secret moments, when no one is watching, character is forged, and the course of a life is set. One young man, alone in a grand house, faced such a moment, a quiet choice that would echo through generations. The room was vast, filled with the treasures of a powerful man. A single lamp cast long, dancing shadows across ornate floors and gilded walls. Joseph moved with quiet diligence, focused on his tasks. The air was thick with unspoken tension, still, heavy, expectant. Each movement deliberate, each step careful. He was serving faithfully in his master's house, but that afternoon he stood on the precipice of a battle for his very soul, a battle that would define his future. The camera stays close, capturing subtle details, the glint on a polished surface, the soft sound of footsteps on stone, the shadows seeming to writhe as if alive. The atmosphere is tight and foreboding. He is alone, but not unwatched. A secret test approached, a trial hidden inside the mundane. He hadn't asked for it, nor could he have known it would come. Yet God allowed the test, knowing Joseph's choice would unlock his purpose. His name was Joseph, young, strong, far from home. He'd endured betrayal and loss that would have broken a weaker man. Sold into slavery by his brothers, he now served Potiphar, a high-ranking Egyptian. Even in servitude, Joseph carried quiet dignity and unshakable faith. This inner strength would be tested in a fire that could purify him into gold or consume him to ash. The choice would be his, alone. Joseph served Potiphar with an unwavering spirit of excellence. He did not perform his duties with the resentful heart of a slave, but with the dedicated spirit of a steward. From the earliest light of dawn until the last tasks were completed in the evening, he poured his energy and integrity into his work. Every detail was attended to with precision and care. He managed the accounts, oversaw the other servants, ensured that every aspect of the household ran with perfect efficiency. He did not cut corners or seek praise for himself. He simply did what was right, day in and day out, as if he were serving God directly. His master Potiphar was not a man easily impressed. As captain of the Pharaoh's guard, he was accustomed to discipline order results. He observed Joseph closely initially with the skeptical eye of an owner, but soon with growing admiration. He saw that everything Joseph touched seemed to prosper. The fields yielded more crops, the livestock multiplied, and a sense of order and peace settled over his entire estate. Potiphar recognized that this was no ordinary fortune, it was a blessing that followed this young Hebrew servant. He saw the undeniable fruit of Joseph's labor, the integrity of his character, and trust began to grow in his heart. This trust deepened until Potiphar made a remarkable decision. He promoted Joseph from a mere servant to the chief overseer of his entire household. Everything he owned, from his home to his fields, was placed under Joseph's authority and management. He left all that he had in Joseph's charge. The scripture says, "So complete was his confidence." Joseph now walked with the authority of a leader, respected by those under him, and honored by his master. He had earned his position not through manipulation, not through flattery, but through simple consistent faithfulness. Yet, with great honor, often comes great testing, and the very prominence that his faithfulness had earned would soon place him in the path of a new and perilous danger. The peace that settled over the household was a fragile thing. Potiphar's wife watched him. From the latticed windows of her chambers, her eyes followed him. She followed him through the courtyards. When he passed through the halls, she would often be there, reclining on cushions, her presence a silent, constant observation. Her gaze was not one of simple admiration. It was heavy, with a growing, illicit desire. It was a slow burn, an obsession that took root in her heart and began to grow like a dark vine, twisting around her thoughts and intentions. The camera of our story would show her eyes, narrowed and intent, tracking his every move. Her expression shifted from curiosity to a covetous longing that became more and more overt. With each passing day, her desire became bolder. Her smiles, once subtle, now held a clear and inappropriate invitation. Her looks lingered far too long, stripping away the professional distance that should have existed between them. She began to arrange her days around his schedule, ensuring she was in rooms where he needed to be. She would wear her finest linens. She would adorn herself with heavy, exotic perfumes. She would try to engage him in conversations that strayed from the business of the household. Her words were laced with flattery and subtle hints of a deeper intimacy she craved. Joseph, however, remained steadfastly professional and distant. He sensed the shift. He felt the weight of her gaze and understood the meaning behind her words. A profound uneasiness settled in his spirit. He began to intentionally avoid being alone with her, keeping his conversations brief and strictly focused on his duties. He did not return her suggestive smiles or engage with her flirtatious banter. He kept a guard over his heart and his eyes, maintaining a steady, respectful demeanor that offered no encouragement. He would not entertain a thought that would dishonor his master. He would not dishonor his God. He would not dishonor himself. This quiet resistance only seemed to intensify her pursuit. His refusal to engage, his polite distance, became a challenge to her. She was the wife of a powerful man, accustomed to getting what she wanted. Joseph's integrity was a direct affront to her desires and her pride. The pressure began to build, a silent daily war of wills fought in the opulent corridors of Potiphar's house. The temptation was no longer subtle, it became a daily, relentless assault. Day after day she spoke to Joseph, the scriptures tell us. The pressure was constant, a dripping faucet of illicit proposals. She approached him when others were away, her voice a seductive whisper, promising pleasure and secrecy. Each day she pushed the line a little further, her advances more direct, more demanding. Joseph felt the immense psychological weight of her pursuit. He felt the pull of temptation and the natural desires of his own body, and the rising fear of the consequences of either choice. This was not just an external battle, it was a profound inner war. The essay would show the subtle signs of his internal struggle. A tightening of his jaw as she speaks. A quick, silent prayer moving on his lips, his hands clenching into fists at his sides. The mind can be a fragile battlefield where whispers of compromise sound like reason. He was young, healthy, and far from anyone who could hold him accountable. The temptation offered a moment of pleasure, an escape from the loneliness of his exile. But Joseph had a deeper anchor. He fought back with the strength of his convictions. In the quiet moments, he continually remembered his God. He recalled the stories of his father, Jacob, and his grandfather, Isaac, and the covenant God had made with his family. His faith was a living reality informing every decision. He remembered he was not his own, that his life belonged to the God who had preserved him through trials. This memory became his shield against the fiery darts of temptation. It was the source of his unwavering no.
He articulated his refusal clearly and honorably. He told her, "Look, my master has put everything he has into my trust. How then could I do this great wickedness and sin against God?"
One day, the opportunity she had been waiting for arrived. Joseph came into the house to attend to his duties, and none of the other household servants were inside. The house was empty and silent, the perfect stage for her final, desperate move. She saw her chance, and she seized it without hesitation. She came up behind him, her intentions now stripped of all subtlety. There were no more suggestive words, no more coy glances. This was a moment of raw, physical demand. She grabbed hold of his outer garment, a cloak that was a symbol of his status and authority within the household.
Lie with me.
In that single charged moment, Joseph's entire future hung in the balance. He could yield, he could give in to the pressure, to the physical pull, to the woman of power holding him fast. A moment of compromise could perhaps save him from her wrath, but Joseph had already made his decision. Not in that instant, but in the countless small choices of integrity he had made every day leading up to it. His character was not formed in the crisis, it was revealed in it. He did not hesitate. He did not argue or negotiate. He understood that this was a situation that could not be won with words. He had to act. With a powerful surge of conviction, he twisted out of her grasp, leaving his garment clutched in her hand. He chose to flee. He ran from the room, from the house. He chose physical escape over moral compromise. The camera would follow his desperate flight, the sound of his running feet echoing in the sudden silence. He chose to lose his coat, a symbol of his honor and position, in order to save the one thing that was more valuable: his integrity. The cost of his choice was immediate and tangible. He stood in the street, without his cloak, exposed and vulnerable. He had done the right thing, the holy thing, the honorable thing. But doing the right thing does not always lead to an immediate reward. In fact, it often leads to immediate misunderstanding, accusation, and pain. Joseph had won the secret battle for his soul, but he was about to face a very public and unjust punishment. He had chosen God's approval over a woman's advances, and now he would have to trust God with the devastating consequences of that righteous choice. That was his cost. Scorned and furious, the woman's desire curdled instantly into venomous rage. Her plan had failed. Her pride was wounded. She needed someone to blame. Holding Joseph's garment in her hand, she began to scream. She twisted the truth into a weapon. She painted herself as the victim, and she painted Joseph as the aggressor. She called out to the men of her household, her voice filled with feigned terror and indignation. She presented the cloak as irrefutable proof. Her false words spread through the household like wildfire, poisoning the minds of all who heard. She repeated the lie to her husband when he returned home. With tears of deception, she recounted her story. She embellished it with details to stoke his anger. "The Hebrew servant whom you brought among us came in to me to insult me," she claimed. "But as soon as I lifted up my voice and cried out, he left his garment beside me and fled out of the house." Potiphar heard the words. He saw the garment she held. His face hardened with rage. In that culture, a wife's word against a foreign slave was unquestionable. He did not investigate. He did not question Joseph. He acted swiftly on the basis of a lie. Joseph was seized. The young man who had just moments before been the trusted overseer was now treated as a common criminal. The chains of shame and injustice were clasped around his wrists. He who was innocent was condemned without a trial. The household servants who had once respected and followed his leadership now looked on with shock. They looked on with scorn. They looked on with suspicion. The enemy's plan seemed to have succeeded perfectly. Joseph's integrity had cost him his reputation. It had cost him his freedom. It had cost him his position. He was stripped of his authority and marched away to be thrown into the king's prison. From a position of honor to the darkness of a dungeon, the fall was swift and brutal. It was a place reserved for the king's prisoners, a place of deep despair from which few ever emerged. As the heavy prison door slammed shut behind him, plunging him into darkness, it would have been easy for Joseph to feel that God had abandoned him. He had chosen righteousness. His reward was a cold stone floor and the company of criminals. The whispers of the enemy would have been loud in that moment. Was it worth it? Your God did not save you. But the story was far from over. Even in the suffocating darkness of the prison, a light that men could not extinguish shone upon Joseph. The essay would show him in this low place, confined by stone walls and iron bars, but his spirit was not confined. He was physically imprisoned, yet not spiritually alone. He carried the memory of God's promises, the dreams God had given him in his youth. Those dreams must have felt like a cruel joke, yet when circumstances screamed that God had forgotten him, Joseph's faith held with a quiet, stubborn tenacity. The chains could not choke his faith. He did not surrender to bitterness or despair. He served, as he had in Potiphar's house. He did not wait for rescue. He lived out his faith where he was. He helped other prisoners, offering a word of encouragement, a helping hand. He did his duties with integrity and excellence. The chief jailer began to take notice. He saw responsibility. He saw wisdom. He saw peace. But the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. God's presence was not a feeling, but an active force in Joseph's life. It was a divine favor that opened doors even in a lockdown prison. The keeper trusted Joseph and put him in charge. The light of God's presence was beginning to shine through the cracks of his confinement. The story cuts from the ancient prison to the bright, sterile light of a modern office. A young professional is working late, the last one in the building. An email arrives from their boss: change a few numbers, make the quarterly results look better. It's a small favor, the minor, ethical compromise. Close up, the tempting email. Close up, the tired face of the worker. Choice, loyalty to the boss and the promise of advancement. Choice, loyalty to the truth. Joseph's dilemma echoes in the silent hum of the computer. Shift. A crowded high school hallway. Students huddled, whispering. A phone shows final exam answers. The phone is offered to a fellow student. The student hesitates. Pressure to fit in. Pressure to get a grade without effort. An emotional line is about to be crossed. They feel a connection, an excitement that was missing. Their spouse sleeps in the other room. The choice sits on the screen, a shadow by the door of their heart. Option: continue and step into emotional infidelity. Option: close the app and protect the covenant. Joseph's decision to flee is their decision now. Narrator weaves ancient and modern threads together. Temptation does not change. It whispers in the workplace, in the classroom, in the quiet moments of our private lives. It asks us to compromise our integrity for a moment of gain, a moment of pleasure, or a moment of ease. Split screen. Joseph and the three modern individuals, each at their moment of decision. Joseph's story: God still sees. God still empowers those who stand firm, no matter the cost. If this message is speaking to you, please like this video, share it with someone who needs strength today, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to Guardian Contender for more cinematic Bible stories. The essay now transitions into clear, actionable teaching, offering a lifeline of hope for anyone facing their own temptations. Quick montage: a crack in a wall. Quick montage: a line drawn in the sand. Quick montage: a gavel striking down. Quick montage: a person fleeing a dark doorway. Quick montage: a seed sprouting toward the light. First, spot the temptation early. Temptation rarely announces itself with a thunderclap. It often begins as a subtle thought, a lingering glance, a small, seemingly innocent compromise. The key is to develop spiritual sensitivity, to recognize the danger in its earliest stages. Do not wait for the crisis to hit. Address the subtle drift away from what is right. Visual: a single crack appears in a solid wall, a warning of structural danger to come. Second, set your boundaries in advance. Don't wait until you are in the heat of the moment to decide where your lines are. Joseph knew he could not do this great wickedness long before his master's wife grabbed his coat. Decide ahead of time what you will and will not do. Create clear, practical boundaries in your relationships. Create clear, practical boundaries in your finances. Create clear, practical boundaries in your entertainment choices. Visual: a firm line being drawn in the sand, a non-negotiable commitment. Third, do not bargain with sin. Once you recognize temptation, your response must be decisive. Do not entertain it. Do not reason with it. Do not try to find a middle ground. The moment you start negotiating, just this once, how far is too far? You have already begun to lose the battle. Joseph did not debate with Potiphar's wife. He stated the truth and refused. Say no early. Say it simply. Mean it. Visual: a gavel strikes down, a final, non-negotiable verdict. Fourth, flee from dangerous situations. Some battles are not won by standing and fighting, but by running away. Paul told Timothy to flee youthful passions. Joseph's ultimate act of victory was not a confrontation, but an escape. If a relationship is leading you into temptation, if a place is leading you into temptation, if a digital space is leading you into temptation, you must have the courage to leave. Close the door. End the conversation. Walk away. Fifth, trust God with the outcome. This is the hardest and most crucial step. Choosing integrity may lead to immediate painful consequences, just as it did for Joseph. You might lose a job, you might lose a friendship, you might lose your reputation, but you must trust that God sees your faithfulness and that He is in control of your future. Your obedience is your part. The outcome is His. In His time, He will honor your integrity. Final visual: a single seed planted in dark soil, a tiny green sprout pushing up toward a rising sun. When you choose purity, God chooses promotion. Integrity may cost you in the moment, but it positions you for the future. God was with Joseph in the palace and in the pit. He is with us on the mountaintop of success and in the valley of unjust suffering. Father, I pray for every person watching. Give them strength to resist temptation, courage to walk in purity, and grace to stand firm when pressure rises. Guard their hearts, guide their decisions, and lead them into your purpose. Surround them with your protection and lift them into victory. In Jesus' name, amen. Before you go, make sure you watch our previous story. Miracles multiply when you give. The the miracle of feeding 5,000. It will encourage your faith and reveal how God multiplies what we surrender. And don't miss our upcoming video. A powerful new story is on the way, filled with truth, hope, and the strength you need for the journey ahead. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Guardian Contender. Your support helps us bring these powerful cinematic Bible stories to the world.